I'm Sam Otten, and with me is Jason Book, and in this video we're going to be talking about Batman issue 47, which is part 7 of the Superheavy storyline by Scott Snyder, with art still by Greg Capullo. We have a couple more issues left with him, I think, so it's nice to see his art here. We have Jim Gordon in the batsuit taking on Mr. Bloom. Their showdown continues. We have the mech batsuit meeting its demise. And we have some stuff moving forward with Bruce. So, Jason, what was your overall impressions of this issue?
Oh, I really enjoyed it, Sam. Some of the things we were talking about before just seem to be slowly inching towards what I think is going to happen, and I really enjoyed some of the imagery they used for that. As usual, the art, just great storytelling, and I like some of the moments too with Jim Gordon versus Bloom and the Batsuit as well. It was an all-around nice issue.
Yeah, this one was definitely a continuation of that sort of triangle of the mech suit, Jim Gordon and Mr. Bloom having their sort of battle of wits.
Yeah.
And Jim Gordon actually, pulled some nice moves here, pretty clever, got himself through the situation. And he had the kind of the big victory of taking out all those pills that Mr. Bloom had, which was kind of nice.
Yes. Yeah, that was cool.
I wondered the moment, so he also had to, confront his own mech suit because Mr. Bloom had kind of hacked in or taken it over. And I wondered if that demise of the mech suit was sort of a little bit of a fan moment. If there's been some fans that have not been happy with the bunny ears mech suit, they
Right.
might have enjoyed the sort of explosion of it. For me, I was okay with the mech suit, so for me, it wasn't like a lot of glee in seeing it destroyed. Plus, I know there's a bunch of other ones too.
Yeah, I think for me it's just part of that storytelling, like a natural evolution. Okay, what next? And then we see what's happening with Bruce, and I think issue 50 is all leading towards this stuff.
Yeah, in terms of pacing, I think they do have it mapped out for issue 50. Something big's going to happen in 50.
Yeah,
I was also thinking ahead, so if my projection is about right, issue 50 of Batman should come out in March,
nice.
which would be about when a big movie is dropping with Batman in it as well.
That is true.
So, in terms of marketing, there might be some cross marketing to try to get a few people to pick up, issue 50, do
Yeah.
something important there. So do you have some predictions of what you think is coming? You mentioned that things are sort of inching towards what you expected.
Oh man,
And
yeah.
we will give a spoiler here. So on the last page, we have the bench where we first saw Bruce Wayne after his injuries and recovery and stuff. He's always been at this bench with a nice view looking out. And now we see this person who looks a lot like one Joker sitting down next to him. So what'd you make of that?
Well, I like that. Like, I'll get to that in a second, but really
Okay.
the parts between Bruce and
Oh,
Duke
Duke.
really are leading up towards what I kind of thought before.
Hmm.
And I love the imagery they used in those scenes, like where it was like the train lights, kind of
Hmm.
looking like the bat eyes in the dark. And
Hmm.
you could see this is kind of turning on for Bruce and something's happening. And I just love that storytelling because it's like a little bit at a time.
Hmm.
So I love that aspect of it. Now we get to the end, and then we obviously see Joker, and it's got to be Joker. My only question is obviously the way things ended. It looked like, both of them were toast. So just a bit of an explanation. I'm sure we'll get it.
Hmm.
But before we got to that part, I really enjoyed that Bruce Duke stuff. They really seemed to set up well. Even like the way they drew the scenes of them talking to each other,
Hmm.
just had that Batman and Robin vibe. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you did actually talk about that in a previous video that we did. And I think it makes sense. So, like, Alfred is clearly not going to be the one to talk Bruce into becoming Batman again, because
No.
Alfred is sort of very happy that Bruce has his life and sort of
Hmm.
some normalcy. I don't think it makes sense for Jim Gordon to be the one to talk him back into being Batman, because that would sort of be like Jim Gordon saying, like, please take this back, I can't handle it, and that doesn't really work very well.
Yeah, yeah.
So Duke is really the most logical choice to be somebody who, like, tries to prompt and bring Bruce back towards Batman.
Hmm.
Yeah, so and then they had the nice moment too of him, Bruce sitting there and starting to realize, okay, maybe I am Batman, maybe I need to pick that up, and he's interrupted literally mid sentence, and the Joker sits down next to him. So
Yeah, it's a cool ending to the issue, and as usual, like these guys leave us saying, "Wow, can't wait to read the next issue."
now I do think that Joker took a little bit of attention away from Mr. Bloom, and I was a little
Hmm.
bit disappointed with like the multiple Mr. Blooms. I don't know. We'll have to see in the next issue what happens. But I was a
Yeah,
little more pumped for Mr. Bloom, and he was going to be, demasked, and then all of a sudden, no,
right.
there's a bunch of Mr. Blooms. So that was a little bit of a step back for me, but it could totally make sense with the next issue.
Yeah, I think they're kind of using it as a plot device to be able to be like, wait, let's not show his identity yet. I really hope we get a good, nice surprise reveal with who it is and have it not just be a faceless
Hmm.
character that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and I don't seem to be correct in predicting that it was Daryl because Daryl was in the vehicle and Mr. Bloom was in the back. But
Right,
I
I didn't see
still
that.
don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I trust Daryl though, because Daryl like texted
yeah,
Duke and said, "Hey, I've got info on your parents." Like, why is Daryl texting Duke about Duke's parents when he's actually supposed to be driving this van and right in a moment when Duke is kind of doing something important?
right.
So I'm still suspicious of Daryl, but I don't think he's Mr. Bloom. Although
Yeah.
now there's so many Mr. Blooms, I don't really know what to make of it. So.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we've said these kind of things happen in these guys' run for so long. That's always been such high quality. We kind of think a lot of time, let's give it a shot, and I bet you it'll pan out to be something good. You know?
Mhm. Yeah, I did think it was weird that we didn't see Bruce's girlfriend, fiance, because they
Yeah,
had an important thing in the last issue and they kind of left. But we'll see. I think the next this will all make sense in the larger arc. So,
yeah. Like overall, just man, like these guys, it just stands above so many books on the stands. I find, you know.
yeah, no, it's good stuff. So, all right, we are looking forward to the next one. We've got a couple issues before 50, so I think they're heading to some big stuff.
Sounds good, Sam.